acquired another offensive lineman. Corey kind of explained it. What was your mind why you needed to go for another lineman?
We've been chasing Chris for a number of years. Craig Smith had been following him back in the NFL days, and we actually tried to sign him in the offseason when Edmonton had let him go. But he's a really good football player, and our O-line, we've said it all along that we never have enough depth there. So we're going to try to upgrade that and see how he does.
What is it about his game that you like?
He's just a really good, solid football player. He can play right or left tackle. He can play inside. Like I said, he's been a guy we've wanted for a number of years here, and we were able to work it out with Toronto where we got him to come over and probably arrive tomorrow night.
He's got a lot of experience in the CFL and the NFL. Is leadership something you want from him too? No,
I think we got a good group of guys there with Dan and a couple other guys that are up front, but his ability as a player is really good, and we want to build our lines up really strongly, both offensively and defensively, and I think he'll help us on the offense.
He's had like a number of teams at practice rosters, but training camps. He's never quite made it in the NFL. Is that a sign of something, or what does it say?
It's a good sign for us because he's available. To be honest with you, he's when we watched him play last year for Edmonton, he was really good. Obviously didn't play all year for them, but we've tracked his career for a long time, and when his name became available, we jumped on that pretty quick.
Does it say that the young guys you have aren't quite ready to step up yet, or is that his role? Is that going to be?
No, not at all. To be honest with you, we're just trying to build from strength. If we're playing two Americans, we want to have at least 3 guys or 4 to pick from. Just because if we get an injury, we're going to be fine with an injury. So, no, our young guys are doing good. Best is going to be down here for a little bit with his foot. So, we'll mess around with some guys moving around. But Neufeld's had a good camp, so we'll just take the best 5 and go from there.
When did Best hurt? Is it a foot injury?
It was late Friday afternoon in practice. I'm not exactly sure the medical terminology of it, but it's a foot problem that's probably going to keep him out for a couple of weeks.
There's some talk out there. You and Chris Getzlaff have come to some terms. Comments on that?
Me and his agent have been talking for a number of weeks, and we're getting very close, and we're almost there yet, but we haven't executed anything yet. But I foresee that we're trying to get it done before we play in BC on Wednesday.
How important is to get that done with him?
Well, a good Canadian receiver that's going into his option is never a good thing, but he's a very important player to us, and one of our goals this season was to get him signed long-term, and we're working towards that.
How do you have time to do your own deal when you're doing all these deals?
I leave that up to my representative and let him do it. I don't even get concerned with it, but I'll let him and Jim deal with that, and it worked out okay.
But a nice announcement Saturday.
Yeah, it was good. I'm pretty happy with it. It's always nice to have some support from the higher-ups, which is always good, but it really hasn't changed my focus. I've been so keyed up on getting this team on the right track. My situation is not a big deal to me.
We'll talk about that. It's been a kind of insane 6 months, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a little crazy, probably more crazy than we thought. We had a lot of changes, but when you go through a coaching change like this, it's part of the gig. And just even on yesterday when we were dealing with Toronto on this, being up in Saskatoon back and forth with Toronto was sort of an interesting day to say the least. But yeah, it's been an interesting offseason. Hopefully it's going to be equating to a number of wins for us.
What do you feel get nervous thinking about Wednesday night when you get to see what you've done against these guys on the field, or do you watch them on practice?
I don't know if nervous is the word. It's anxious, I think, is more of the word, just to see if these guys that have shown good in camp will prove it in a game condition. I know we're probably going to see 2 or 3 guys play well that probably haven't shown much in training camp, so that's just normally how it goes. And you always hear us say this is hopefully we just stay healthy too.
Is that a concern? You see them play better in a game than do perform over a consistent long-term plan?
Well, I think practice and the game situation we ran a little bit yesterday in Saskatoon was really important for us. But I think game conditions are really where you make your hay, and it'll be a big value of our evaluation come Wednesday night.
So far, these guys lived up to your expectations, all these imports that we heard about all winter?
Most of them have. Some of them haven't, to be honest with you, but this is where Wednesday comes in. A couple of guys have been nicked here in the last couple of weeks and haven't really played much. So, there's for every Jarrett, there's hopefully a different side of the Jarrett story. So we're on track to where we think we are, but we still got a long way to go.
Yeah, looking at those expectations, of course, for Craig Butler, what are yours for him this season?
Craig's going to be a really important part of what we do. We're going to move him all over the place. He's not going to be our true starting safety per se, but he'll be on the field quite a bit, and in different packages he'll steal the field a lot.
You're probably never done trying to make your team better, but are you actively pursuing any positions, or are you going to wait to see what you got after these preseason games?
We're thin in a couple areas still, mainly when it comes to depth, not necessarily starters. For example, Canadian D-line we're not very strong at right now, with Sajis being down with an injury, and I've said it all along that Canadian receiver depth is something we're keeping our eyes on, so it's going to be big games for Cisco and Bamba.